This is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Today I have a very special treat for you. What we're going to do today is we're going to juice some carrots in the Omega Vert 330 HD juicer. Now the Omega Vert 330 HD juicer is identical to the Omega Vert 350, also known as the Omega Vert 350 HD. The only difference is the color. This is actually in a white. The Omega Vert 350 is actually in a silver and black color. They both operate identical. Now the reason for today's video is that I got a request from a customer that's having problems with juicing carrots, and they say the vert is literally stopping and jamming up and it just won't move when feeding in carrots. Now this is a known issue, and I do show that in some of my past videos where you feed the carrots too fast in the juicer. Or if you have really fat diameter carrots, these ones are actually a skinny diameter, if you have real fat diameter carrots, that'll also occur. There are several ways to prevent this from happening. The first is to take your knife and just to chop up the carrot into smaller pieces. Just like so. And now feeding one piece in at a time, this problem won't occur. The reason why this occurs, let me go ahead and show you that, is because inside the machine there's an auger. And this auger is spinning around and turning. And as the auger is spinning around and turning, the carrot goes in, and the auger comes around and hits like part of the carrot and literally takes a bite out of part of the carrot. So maybe the bite would be approximately this big, actually, pretty much. And the problem arises that the auger literally has to cut through the carrot. Now this is not a sharp auger, you know, I could brush it against my face, it's not going to cut me. So it's literally just using the sheer torque of the motor. And the motor is very powerful, but you know, when feeding in a hard carrot, especially if they're old and woody, so once again I want to encourage you to get fresh as possible carrots, because if carrots start to get old, they start to dehydrate a little bit and they start to get a lot harder. So get the freshest carrots you possibly can, and maybe that even includes growing them yourself. If not, visit a local farmer's market or get carrots at a place that has a high turnover, not a place that doesn't, you know, sell carrots a lot. Actually, the place I recommend for carrots a lot is actually the big box stores, such as a Costco. They sell 10 pounds of organic carrots for approximately $5, depending on where you live. And actually they're the Buddy Love carrots, and actually these are some of the sweetest carrots to juice. So besides cutting, there's a few things you can do to minimize the amount of jamming it gets, and I'm going to share those with you today. So after we juice all these carrots, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use the carrot juice and make a blended salad in the blender, which is yet another way to include more fresh fruits and vegetables in your diet. So once again, you could just drink fresh juice, or you could use that juice that you just made in recipes. So this is actually one of my favorites, so I'm really looking forward to it. So next, let's go ahead and reassemble the machine, put the auger in there and put the top on. Real simple, real easy. Now with this machine, you get two of these catch cups. I have one catch cup being used for the pulp, and I have a standard Pyrex or Anchor, the 4-cup glass measuring cup to catch all the juice. And then I have my special strainer. This strainer is just a standard strainer you could get in a local, you know, department store, Bed Bath Beyond, something like that, to strain out the juice. Now one of the challenges with the Omega Vert is that it does produce a little bit more pulp than, say, a centrifugal ejection juicer. Now this isn't necessarily a problem unless you've already owned a centrifugal ejection style juicer such as a Breville or a Jack LaLanne, because then you're used to like pretty much a pulp-free juice. And those juices are amazing at making a pulp-free juice, but they have some negatives as well, as like they oxidate the juice, add extra oxygen or air into the juice, and they also run at a higher RPM, up to 10,000 RPM, which can degrade or lower the nutrition actually in the juice you're creating. So the easy solution is just simply to get a strainer, and we're going to go ahead and put that underneath here now. The other thing I want to encourage you to do, if you're serious about buying a vert or you already own a vert, be sure to check my other videos. I have a few videos that explain how to properly use the Omega Vert. It's called Omega Vert Best Practices. Also, things that the instruction manual don't tell you on how to use the Omega Vert. So there's two excellent videos. So those two videos will share in full detail tips and tricks to actually get the most out of the vert, to juice with it properly so that you'll get successful results every time. So tonight I'm going to show you how to juice carrots successfully in the vert. So without further ado, let's go ahead and turn this machine on. Now this machine runs at a low 80 RPMs, revolutions per minute, runs at a nice slow RPM. So it's nice and quiet, plus it also preserves more of the nutrition in the juice because it runs at such a low RPM. And there it is, you can barely hear when it's on. And first we're going to feed in the small carrots. And once again, you put a carrot in and you're going to want to let the machine crush it up and then add the next one. You don't want to just take all of them and dump them in at once. It's like trying to stuff your mouth full of all these carrots at once. You know, you want to eat one at a time. Like the juicer just wants one carrot at a time. So doing carrots or juicing carrots in this way in the Omega VRT is a guaranteed way to succeed without having it to clog up. Very simple, very easy. Another thing I like to do is sometimes I just like to buy the baby carrots to juice. Once again, the Costco has 5 pounds of baby carrots, and they're usually about $5. And those are already pre-washed. So literally all I do is zip open the package and just dump them in the machine because they're all nice and small. No pre-cutting is required. Alright, so you can see here we're getting some juice and we're getting very little pulp caught in the strainer. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to start juicing these guys. Now these guys are quite long, maybe as long as my head, at least a foot long. And now there's 2 ways you can juice a carrot. You can put them in this way, which is actually not recommended. Or you could put it in the thick end first. So we're going to put it in the thick end first, just drop it in there. And we're going to see what happens. Now, you know, hands off, once again, you don't want to be using the pusher to push the produce or the carrots into the machine. And now you don't want to feed the next carrot until basically, you know, you don't hear the carrot being juiced anymore. And actually you can see the pulp coming out of the machine slow down a lot. So that's pretty much happened now. Now we can put another one in. Takes that carrot in and juices it right up. With no problems whatsoever. Now say we wanted to get the machine stuck, we could try to take 2 carrots, which I don't recommend this because if you do 2 carrots it probably will get stuck. Let's see. And it's actually working quite alright. Nonetheless, you want to try to only juice 1 carrot at a time. If you do have wide diameter carrots, let me show you what you guys got to do. You got to take your knife and you just kind of shave into it. And then you try to cut it straight down the middle. And in this way, what will happen is you're going to basically divide up your thick diameter carrot into basically a diameter about half the size, like this. Now you don't have to do it all the way to the end, just to where it gets maybe not quite as thick. Then you're going to take this piece and drop it in there and let the juicer process that. This basically takes a lot of the load, or it makes it easier for the juicer to basically grind up the carrot. Then we're going to stick that one in there. Once again, this is doing a great job. You know, it hasn't jammed up on me yet. We're going to drop another one in there. Now, let's go ahead and put 2 fairly thick diameter carrots in there. Let's try to get this thing to jam up for you guys, just to show you guys what happens and then what to do if it does. Once again, I'm only doing this to make it jam up. Normally, you just want to juice 1 carrot at a time. And at a slow and moderate pace, you know, you can see I'm not just shoving carrots one after the other. You know, this is called a slow juicer, so you want to take your time. Once again, here's 2 carrots right in there. And it's even handling that fine. Let's go and try for 3 carrots. Let's see if we can get this thing to jam up. Oh, alright. We needed 2 carrots and we got it to jam up. So if it does jam up, what happens is the motor stops. Now this is a built-in safety so that it doesn't actually overload and, you know, break your circuit breaker. And once you did that, you can see, I mean, that we could pull the carrots out. The problem is that there's a large piece of carrot that the auger just can't go ahead and basically rip apart and crush. So now we're going to go ahead to the back. We're going to turn it to off just for, you know, a few seconds. Then we're going to push it on the reverse. This will back the machine up. You're just going to do that for a few seconds. Then you're going to let that go. Then next, you're just going to go ahead and turn it back to on. And you can see it just cleared the jam. So whether this happens once or a lot of times, you could just basically continue. Just turn it to off. Momentary reverse for a few seconds. Not just like it needs to be a few seconds, like 3 to 5 seconds. Let it run to get it unjammed. And then start it back up again. Now, if this continues to happen to you where it gets jammed up a lot, guess what? That should tell you that you're doing something wrong and you need to change what you're doing to get different results. So whether you need to slice things down the middle, feed 1 thing at a time, not push carrots in, there's something, or actually get carrots that are fresher, that are, you know, softer, that have a nice snap. Because if they don't have a nice snap, if they're kind of like old and rubbery, it's not going to work as well. Or if they're really like hard and woody, it's not going to work as well either. So you can see here we're almost done juicing all our carrots. Working nice and good. drop that one in there. Now let's go ahead and try to feed this actually too quickly. So once again, I don't recommend feeding it like this. You're going to put one in, and then as soon as you see, like, you know, the carrot disappear, you're going to put another one in. But if you do that, that means there's still carrots inside the machine. It's like, you know, you're taking a bite of something, you're chewing it up, and before you're done swallowing, you put some more stuff in your mouth and try to chew it up, you know. Depending on how much stuff you got in your mouth, you might have to spit it out because it's too much, right? The juicer, you need to, like, let it work through what it has before putting more in. So let's see, go ahead and put that one in. Now we're just going to wait like 30 seconds for it to process, and the telltale sign to know when it's done processing is watch the pulp ejection port. That's the #1 way. Now, if the pulp ejection port, basically the pulp stops flowing out of it, then is the best time to put the next carrot in. Now, most people don't want to wait that long, so as long as you wait enough until you stop hearing it crushing carrots up, and then maybe count to 5 seconds. That's going to probably be a pretty good time to feed another carrot in. So, actually, that's our last carrot. And it's juicing that right up. So aside from actually when I made it stop up, the juicer didn't stop up on me. And that's, you know, because I was using it properly. So very simple, very easy. Now, sometimes people ask, John, what can you do with this pulp? Well, this carrot pulp would make actually a delicious carrot cake. Actually, you could mix it in with your dog kibble to feed the dogs so they'll get actually more fiber. You could make dehydrated crackers out of it, or actually some people, if you like to mix that with some raisins and some salad dressing and eat it as salad. Me personally, I prefer to compost that, give it to my worms, or put it in my compost pile to re-enrich my soil because actually I'm a gardener. Anyways, that's pretty much done. Let's go ahead and turn that off. You can see we got the pulp here. And one of the things I like to do on the vert is just kind of tip that up, make sure we get all the juice out. And you can see here, that much yielded approximately 3 cups of juice. Go ahead and we did, you know, we did get a fair bit of pulp. So I'm just going to shake this pulp up and let it just drain out. So we'll move that to the side. So next we're going to use this carrot juice to make that blended salad I was talking about. So let me go ahead and set up for that. So next we're going to show you guys how to make a blended salad. The reason why I call it blended salad is because we're literally going to blend up everything you would normally put in a salad. So we have 1 whole pound of a spring mix or a lettuce mix. We also have some bell peppers, also some hot peppers to give it some spice. We have some little cucumbers. These are Persian cukes. These actually have an amazing flavor. They're not bitter in the skin, grown in hothouse conditions. We also have some sauerkraut. This is garlic dill pickle sauerkraut. Yum. And then also for the fat, we got some nice, delicious raw macadamia nuts. These are my favorite nuts in the whole world. And of course, we got the carrot juice. So the simple recipe is basically to put it in the blender and blend it on up. Now, if you have a Vitamix or a Blendtec or another high-power blender, you pretty much don't have to worry about anything. You just need to put all the liquids in first. Now, if you have a standard department store blender, you might want to check my other videos to check out and learn about the high-power blenders that are actually going to do a better job. But if you have a regular standard blender, such as the one here today, you're going to add all your liquid first, and then pre-blend it, and then add all the solids. So first we're going to add, once again, this is the most liquid, the carrot juice to our blender. And that's a nice, clean carrot juice without too much fiber or pulp in there. Next, we're going to add in our bell peppers. So all I got to do is simply just take out and remove the seeds of the bell peppers. Very simple and very easy. And we're just going to go ahead and crush that up into some smaller pieces. How about we'll go for an orange bell pepper next. And put these into the blender. Alright, that's it for the orange bell pepper. Now the hot peppers. Now you want to be very careful when dealing with hot peppers. And the hottest part of a hot pepper, I'll show you here in a second, is basically the seeds and that white pithy part next to the seeds. So because I want a little bit of spice and not too much spice, I'm going to cut out the seeds and some of that white membrane in the middle. And you don't want to be rubbing your eyes after dealing with hot peppers. That could definitely not be a good thing. So you can see there, I just cut out that small section right here. And we're going to put that in the drink. Alright, so we got that de-seeded and dropped it in there. So next I want to go ahead and pre-blend this before adding the rest of the ingredients so that this will just work a lot better. Go ahead and put the blender top on and crank this up. Alright, so once you got that done, then I'm going to start adding maybe, why don't we get 2 cucumbers in there. Now the cucumbers, what we're going to do is we're just going to break these up into smaller pieces. And we're going to blend these guys up in there too. I guess the next thing is we're going to just go ahead and add some sauerkraut also. This is a live sauerkraut. You can see just is alive. So I like adding sauerkraut because this actually adds the beneficial bacteria or lactobacillus into the mixture. Plus it gives it a nice flavor. So we're going to go ahead and put a generous amount of this sauerkraut in there. Alright, that'll do it. Now let's go ahead and blend this up. Now one of the secrets to blending that you may or may not know is that you only want to blend as long as you need to basically get it all ground up. You don't want to let it run too much longer than that. The longer you run the blender, the more oxidation is exposed to the items inside the blender. So the juicer, and especially the slow juicer like we were just using, the Mega Vert, runs at 80 RPMs. This thing runs at, I don't know, up to 20,000 RPMs, or revolutions per minute. Juicing and blending are definitely different. Be sure to check my other videos. I have a really excellent video on the difference between juicing and or blending. So as we got this all blended up, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start adding our greens. Now greens are very important to include in your diet. I have literally a pound of greens here. Greens are very nutritious and they're one of the most nutrient dense foods on the planet. Whether you're eating lettuce greens or collard greens or kale greens, they're definitely all good. So we're going to add a couple handfuls of this at a time and try to shove it down in there. Now you don't want to overload your blender, especially when blending up the greens, because that is where your blender could have some problems. So we're going to go ahead and put that in and spin that up. All it takes a couple quick seconds just like that, and those greens were now liquefied. So now we're just going to go ahead and put more in there. Alright, so that just got liquefied. Next, guess what? We're going to add more greens in there. Once again, a couple more handfuls to get that all liquefied. Now this is an excellent meal replacement, especially for people that are really busy. You know, most people don't have the time to eat a salad because if you're eating a salad, you should be chewing your food at least 50 times each mouthful to break down the leaves into basically a mush so that you can get optimal digestion. And that's why actually the juicer is actually the most beneficial because it breaks all the hard fibrous cell walls down for you. And then the blender, in my opinion, is probably second best. It also breaks down everything as well, but it leaves the fiber. Let's see, this is getting rather full here. So we're probably going to go ahead and blend this up, get this liquidized. Is that a word? Liquidized, all right. And you can see my mixture's getting nice and dark. That's all the chlorophyll or the greens in the mixture there. So you can see, I mean, we're literally being able to fit this whole like pound of greens into the blender because, I mean, this just basically takes up a lot of airspace. And did you know that greens are 50% protein by calorie? So actually by calorie, they actually have more protein than meat. So, you know, blending your greens and actually juicing your greens is very rich in protein. So, all right, I think I got like one more handful of greens to put into the blender. And that's it. Check it out. We've got all the greens in there. Next, let's go ahead and blend this guy up. This is getting rather full here. Alright, just that little bit. Blended it up. And check it out, we still got room in there. So next we're going to add my macadamia nuts. The macadamia nuts will give it a nice fatty, rich flavor. Now I like to include all whole foods or, real foods in my meals. So as you can see, this is basically made from all pretty much fruits and vegetables and some nuts. And so that I don't eat too many nuts, because too much of a good thing like nuts is a bad thing. I basically give myself a handful or two a day of nuts. Nuts are actually very high in calories. They also have beneficial fats, but you don't want to eat too much of them. So there's one handful, and there's my allocation of nuts for today. Just enough to make it taste really nice. Next, let's go ahead and put the top on. Now, if you do have a blender that's not quite as powerful as this one, you may have to have it running and then take out the top and actually drop one nut in at a time to let it basically blend up and basically make a cream sauce out of the nuts. It'll literally cream up the nuts. Blenders that aren't that powerful will actually leave nice big chunks of the nut in your smoothie, which isn't quite as good. The more you could actually break up the nut and fractionate it and micronize it into millions of pieces, the better digestion you're going to get, because there's more surface area for your body to basically get the nutrients out. And once again, that's what the juicers and the blenders do. So let's go ahead and put this cap back in there and crank it up to high and see what we get. Alright, I think that'll do it. I think we got it all finished, and you know what? This is pretty doggone full. Good thing we didn't put those last cucumbers in there. So I'm going to tap down this top a little bit, and let me show you the results. Here it is. This is my blended salad using the base of carrot juice and all the other ingredients you saw. And man, this is going to be so delicious. I've worked up quite an appetite giving you this demo. Let me go ahead and try that on camera for you guys. That's one of the best blended salads, woo, I'm feeling the kick, I've ever made. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode learning more about the Omega VRT 330 HD juicing carrots and how not to get it stuck up, and also how to make a delicious blended salad using all the ingredients that I used today. Once again, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.